St. Charles Borromeo, Bishop, Feast Day, November 4th, St. Charles Borromeo, the heart of a true pastor, birth and early life. St. Charles Borromeo was born on October 2, 1538, in the family castle at Arona near Lake Maggiore in northern Italy. He was the second son of Count Gilberto Borromeo and Margherita de' Medici, who were members of two noble families. From his youth, Charles was devout, intelligent, and disciplined. Though born into privilege, he displayed remarkable humility and a strong desire to serve God. His family's influence included his maternal uncle, Cardinal Giovanni Angelo de' Medici, who later became Pope Pius IV. Charles studied civil and canon law at the University of Pavia, where he earned a doctorate at the age of 21. His early life showed a blend of intellectual brilliance and sincere spirituality, qualities that would mark his ministry throughout his life. Vocation and service to the Church. In 1559, when his uncle became Pope Pius IV, Charles was called to Rome and quickly became one of the Pope's most trusted aides. Despite his youth, the Pope recognized his wisdom and integrity. Charles was appointed cardinal deacon and later made administrator of the Archdiocese of Milan, one of the largest and most influential dioceses in Europe. Although he was not yet ordained, Charles handled vast responsibilities within the Church with maturity and devotion. He helped his uncle govern the Church and played a key role in reconvening and completing the Council of Trent 1545 to 1563, which had been interrupted several times. The council became a cornerstone of the Catholic Reformation, and Charles worked tirelessly to ensure its decrees were clearly written and faithfully implemented. After his uncle's death, Charles could have returned to a life of wealth and comfort, but he chose instead to become a priest in 1563 and was ordained Bishop of Milan in 1564. His ordination marked the beginning of a life of total dedication to pastoral ministry and reform. Accomplishments and pastoral reforms. As Archbishop of Milan, St. Charles Borromeo became one of the greatest reforming bishops in church history. He implemented the decrees of the Council of Trent with extraordinary zeal, working to renew the spiritual life of both clergy and laity. His motto, Humilitas Humility, became the guiding principle of his episcopal service. Among his most significant accomplishments: 1. Reform of the clergy and establishment of seminaries, recognizing that the renewal of the Church depended on holy and educated priests. Charles founded the first diocesan seminaries, ensuring that future priests received proper formation in doctrine, prayer, and discipline. 2. Synods and councils. He held 5 provincial councils and 11 diocesan synods, uniting clergy and religious in a common effort to reform church life. These gatherings strengthened discipline, moral integrity, and unity among the faithful. 3. Catechesis and education. Charles placed great emphasis on teaching the faith. He established confraternities of Christian doctrine (CCD) to instruct children and adults in the fundamentals of Catholic faith, making him the patron saint of catechists and catechumens. 4. Charity during the plague. When Milan was struck by a devastating plague in 1576 to 1578, many fled the city, but Charles remained. He personally visited the sick, organized care for the dying, and sold his possessions to feed the hungry. He carried the Blessed Sacrament through the streets barefoot and in prayer, pleading for God's mercy. His courage and faith brought hope to a city in despair. Death and canonization. Exhausted from his labors and austerities, St. Charles Borromeo died on November 3, 1584. At the age of 46 in Milan, his death was mourned by the entire Church, for he had truly lived as a shepherd who laid down his life for his flock. He was canonized by Pope Paul V in 1610, and his relics rest in the crypt of Milan's cathedral. His life remains a shining example of holiness, pastoral care, and reform guided by the Holy Spirit. Popular stories and miracles. During the plague in Milan, St. Charles organized processions of prayer and penance. One night, he was seen carrying a heavy wooden cross barefoot through the city streets, begging God to save his people. Many later testified that this act of intercession brought comfort and healing to the city. He was known for his acts of humility, refusing luxury, eating simple food, and sleeping little. Once, when his attendants prepared a fine meal, he sent it away, saying that the poor deserved it more than he did. Even in his final illness, he continued to hear confessions and celebrate Mass, showing his unshakable love for Christ and his people. Lessons from his life. 1. True reform begins with personal conversion. Charles renewed the Church by first reforming his own heart. 2. Faith must lead to service. His leadership combined wisdom with compassion, especially during crises. 3. Education strengthens faith. He recognized that knowledge of God's truth nourishes holiness. 4. Holiness requires courage. In times of plague and suffering, he stood with his people, embodying the Good Shepherd. 5. Humility is strength. His motto, Humilitas, reminds us that all genuine leadership begins in humility before God. Question for meditation: do I approach my responsibilities at home, in the church, or in society with the same spirit of humility and service that guided St. Charles Borromeo? How can I work to renew my faith and help bring Christ's light to others today?